All right, let's do reading passage 3, Cambridge 18. This is test 1. Today, it's about conquering Earth's space junk problems. Okay, can you read this one, please? Conquering Earth's
Concrete
space junk
space jump
problem.
problem. Satellites, rockets,
Shards,
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 and shards,
and collision, debris, or
satellites,
debris,
rocket shards, and collision
debris, or debris.
debris,
Yeah.
debris, collision debris are creating major, major traffic risks.
Creating major traffic risk in
Are
orbit.
creating major traffic risks
In
on
orbit around the planet.
around the planet. In orbit around the planet.
Around the planet. Around the planet.
Around the planet.
Around the
Around
planet.
the planet. Orbit
Researchers.
around the planet.
Yes.
Researchers are working to reduce these threats. Last year, commercial companies, military,
Yes.
and civil departments and amateurs sent more than 400 satellites
Into orbit.
over 4 times
The yearly average in the previous
decade.
In the previous decade.
In the previous decade, numbers could rise even more
sharply if leading space companies
numbers could rise even more sharply.
rise even more sharply.
Could rise even more sharply if leading space companies follow through on plans to deploy hundreds to thousands of
large constellations of satellites. Large constellations.
Constellations of satellites to space in the next few years.
In the next few years.
In the next few years. All that traffic can lead to disaster. 10 years ago, a U.S. commercial iridium satellite smashed into an inactive Russian
inactive, có nói âm được luôn mà. Into an inactive, into an inactive Russian communication satellite.
Russian communications satellite called Cosmos 2251, creating thousands of new pieces of space shrapnel.
Shrapnel. SR.
Space shrapnel that now threaten other satellites. That now threaten other satellites in low Earth orbit. The dome stretching up to 2,000 kilometers to altitude in altitude.
Altitude, Al là out, al is out.
Altitude
Altitude, in
in
altitude.
altitude.
Altitude. Altogether, they are roughly
Altogether, there are roughly 20.
roughly
There are roughly,
roughly
roughly, there are roughly,
roughly they are roughly
roughly,
rough âm F á. G hát ra âm F á.
there are
Roughly
roughly, there
no
are
kéo dài
roughly,
xong rồi F cuối roughly
there are
there are
roughly,
roughly 20,000 human
there
made
are roughly 20,000 human-made objects in orbit. There are roughly 20,000 human-made objects in orbit, from working satellites to small rockets to small rocket pieces. And satellite operators can steer away from every potential crash because it move consumes time and fuel
fuel that could
and
otherwise be used
fuel fuel that could otherwise
be
be
used for the
used for
spacecraft's
your
main job.
spacecraft's main job.
Right.
That could otherwise be used for the spacecraft's main job. Concern.
Okay, let's do that again. All the traffic can lead to disaster. Let's try that again.
all,
Đoạn đó.
all, all that traffic can lead to disaster 10
Let's try again.
years
Let's try again.
ago.
All the traffic can lead to disaster. Disaster.
Disaster. All
Disaster.
that traffic can lead
Traffic.
to
Traffic. Mở rộng miệng.
all
Traffic
that traffic. All
can
that
lead
traffic.
to
All that traffic can lead to disaster.
disaster.
Disaster. All that traffic can lead to disaster.
Disaster.
Can lead to disaster. 10 years ago, a U.S. commercial iridium satellite smashed into
Into an
an
inactive.
inactive Russian
Inactive.
communication.
Inactive.
Uh, an inactive in an inactive in an
An inactive. An inactive.
an
Không,
inactive
cái từ mà nối âm từ không quá quan trọng lắm đâu. It's not that too important, linking the word, the sound of two words, an inactive
an
Russian
inactive
communication
Russian
satellite.
communications satellite called Cosmos 2251, creating thousands of new pieces of space
Shrapnel.
shrapnel,
Shrapnel.
shrapnel,
Shrapnel.
of space shrapnel that now threaten other
Threaten.
satellites
That now threaten.
that now threaten that now threaten other satellites in low Earth orbit.
In low earth. Kéo dài xong một thờ nữa. In
In
low earth.
low Earth.
In low earth
Low Earth.
orbit.
In low Earth
Earth
orbit.
orbit.
In low Earth orbit.
The zone stretching up to the zone.
The
ON đó. The zone. The zone stretching up to
the zone stretching up to 2,000 kilometers
kilometer âm đầu
in
nha. 2,000 kilometers in
to
altitude.
2,000 kilometer
Kilometer.
to 2,000
Kilometer.
kilometers kilometers
in altitude.
to 2,000 kilometers in altitude.
Altitude.
Altitude. Altitude. Altogether, there are roughly to
20,000
20,000 human-made objects in orbit, from working satellites to smart rocket species, and satellite operators can steer away from every potential crash.
and steer away from every potential crash.
Can steer away from every potential crash
Because each move
move consumes time and
consumes
fuel.
each move consumes time and fuel.
It more consumes
Each move consume times and fuel.
each more consume It more consumes time and fuel that could otherwise be used for the spacecraft's main job.
Yes.
Concern about space junk goes concern about space junk goes concern about space junk goes back to the beginning of the satellite era, but the number of objects in orbit is rising so rapidly that researchers are investigating
Okay, investigating new ways of attacking the problem.
Okay. Concern about space junk goes back to the beginning of the satellite era, but the number of objects in orbit is rising so rapidly that that researchers are investigating new ways of attacking the problem. Several teams are trying to improve methods for assessing what is in orbit so that satellite operators can work more efficiently in ever more crowded space.
In ever more crowded space. Không gian ngày càng đông đúc hơn. In ever more crowded space.
So that satellite operators can work more
efficiently.
Efficiently
Efficiently.
Can work more efficiently can work more efficiently in ever more crowded
Evermore and evermore.
in ever more crowded space. More researchers are now starting to compile
Compile.
That's-
Gì ngắn L.
to
IL. Compile. In
massive data.
compile. To compile a massive data set.
Now starting to compile a massive data set that includes the bad policy information.
What? The best possible information.
Your best
Giờ nó ra anh lại giờ rồi.
the best
That includes the best possible.
that includes the bad policy
The best.
bad
ST. That
best,
includes the best
the
possible.
best. That
That
includes
includes
that includes
the best
the best,
possible
the best, the best, the best possible information in the best possible information
on where everything
on
is
where
in orbit.
everything is in orbit. Again, some researchers are now starting to compile a
To
massive data set to compile to compile a massive data set that includes the best possible information on where everything is in orbit. Others are developing taxonomies. Others are developing taxonomies of space,
taxonomy
taxonomies, taxonomies
of
of
space
space
debris hoặc là space
debris,
debris.
of space debris,
Space debris working on
space,
measuring
space debris, space debris, working on Meas working on measuring properties such as such as the shape and size of an object, so that satellite operators know how much to worry about what's coming their way. Others are developing taxonomies
of
of
space
space
debris.
debris, working on measuring,
Measuring
measuring, working on measuring properties such as the shape and the size of an object, so that satellite operators know how much to worry about what's coming their way. The alternative, many say, is unthinkable. Just a few uncontrolled, just a few uncontrolled space crashes could generate enough debris to set up a runaway
cascade, a runaway cascade of fragments.
to set up a runaway cascade
Cascade of
to
fragments.
uh, to set up a runaway cascade of fragment
Fragments.
of frag- of fragment
Fragments
of
rendering
fragments rendering near
rendering near Earth space unusable.
rendering near Earth space unusable. If we go on like this, we will reach a point of no return, say
We might
Caroline.
reach a point of no return.
We will reach a point of no return.
Point.
We will reach a point of no return, says Caroline of Freer.
Caroline Frewer.
Caroline
Fru.
Freer.
Cái chữ UE này nó có thể là cái chữ U mà hai dấu chấm á, của tiếng Đức á.
Freer.
Fru. Fru.
Yeah.
Caroline Fru.
Caroline
U,
Freer.
với cái chữ OE là cái chữ O hai dấu chấm á, còn cái
Caroline
UE
Freer.
là hai dấu chấm. Fru. Caroline Fru.
Caroline Freer.
An
An
astrodynamical
astrodynamical,
an
an
astrodynamical
astro, astro,
an
an
astrodynamical
astro,
researcher.
an astrodyn, An astrodynamical
Dynamical.
an
An
astrodynamical
astrodynamical researcher.
yes, an astrodynamical researcher at Purdue University in Great Lafayette, Indiana. In Great Lafayette, Indiana, the alternative many say is
Alternative. The alternative nhấn âm hai nha.
the
Alternative.
the alternative
Alternative. The
the
alternative. The
the
alternative.
alternative many say
Alternative.
alternative the
Alternative.
alternative the alternative many say is unthinkable. Just a few uncontrolled spacecrafts could generate enough debris to set up a runaway cascade of fragments, rendering near Earth space unusable, if,
Unusable.
unusable if we go on like this.
If we go on like this, if we go on like this, like this.
If we go on like this, we will reach a point of no return. Says Caroline
Through.
Says
Caroline, I think Caroline. I think Caroline.
Says Caroline
Through.
Says Caroline through.
Okay.
An astrodynamical researcher and at Purdue University in Great
Lafayette, Indiana.
Lafayette, India. In Great Lafayette, Indiana. Yeah. Even as our ability to monitor space objects increase, so to those
Okay,
the
let's
total
just see.
number.
Even as our ability to monitor space objects increases, so too does the total number of items in orbit. Dù rằng là như là cái khả năng của chúng ta để kiểm soát những cái vật thể trên không gian nó tăng lên đi, thì cái tổng số lượng vật thể trên cái quỹ đạo nó cũng tăng như thế luôn. So too does the total number of items in orbit. Even as our ability to monitor space objects increases, so too does the total number of items in orbit. Nó phải như vậy đó. Ngừng nhắc như vậy.
Even as our ability to monitor space objects increases, so too does the total number of items in orbit. Even as our ability to monitor space objects increases, so too does the total number of items in orbit. That means companies, governments, and other players in space are collaborating in new ways.
Governments and other players in space are collaborating in new ways to avoid a shared threat. Này chữ e. A shared threat.
And other players in space are collaborating in new ways to avoid a shared threat. international groups,
International mà đúng nhỉ? International groups
such as the interagency space debris coordination committee. So, such as the interagency space debris coordination committee have developed guidelines on space sustainability. Had developed guidelines on space sustainability, though include inactivating those include inactivating satellites at the end of their user at the end of their useful life. At the end of their useful life.
Useful life. At the end of their useful life.
At the end of
their useful life.
At the end of their useful life. At the end of their useful life. By venting
And by venting pressurized materials, materials or leftover fuel.
By venting pressurized materials or leftover fuel and or leftover fuel that might lead to explosion. Might lead to explosions. Though include
explosions, yeah. Might lead to explosions. Explosion mới đúng. Dần.
Explosion. So though include those include inactivating satellites at the end of their useful life. By venting pressurized materials or leftover fuel that might lead to explosion.
What? That might lead to
explosion.
Explosion nhé, âm DZ luôn.
Explosions
may lead to explosions. Explosions. The intergovernmental groups.
The intergovernmental groups in the
intergovernmental. Tại vì cái từ gốc của nó là inter với lại governmental, you know. Intergovernmental.
The intergovernmental groups the intergovernmental groups are advise lower satellites. The intergovernmental groups also advise lower satellites. The intergovernmental groups also advise lower satellites deep enough into the atmosphere that they will burn up. That they will burn up.
Or disintegrate within 25 years.
Disintegrate
Disintegrate.
disintegrate within 20 years. Will burn up or disintegrate within 25
5 years. But so far, only about half of all missions.
But so far, only about half
of all missions.
Only about half
of all
of
missions.
Of all missions have habit by this 20-year goal, says Holger Frank, head of the European Space Agency's Space Debris Office. Head of the
head of the European Space Agency.
Space Agency's Space Debris Office in the
Space Debris Office in Darmstadt, Germany.
Space Debris.
In Darmstadt, Germany.
Space Debris Office in Darmstadt, Germany.
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 Germany. Germany. Germany. Germany. Germany. Germany. Operators of the planned large constellations of satellites.
Operators of the planned larger.
Giờ nó là giờ rồi anh ơi.
Large.
Operators of the planned.
Operators of the planned
large constellations of satellites.
Larger constellations of satellites say.
So they will be responsible stewards. Are you okay?
Yeah.
So they will be responsible stewards.
I want to detect the verb to stop your sentence. For the long sentence, something like something like that. It's not because we cannot stop everywhere we want.
No. Of course you cannot. But now you need to pronounce correctly first before you go into knowing where you should stop, where you should go.
Okay.
You know. Phải được phát âm tốt trước đã rồi mới ngừng nhắc đúng được. Operators of the planned large constellation of satellites say they will be responsible stewards in their enterprises in space.
Okay. Operators of the planned large constellations
of satellites say they will be responsible stewards. They will be responsible stewards.
They will be responsible stewards.
Moment, let me check this word. Cái người steward là cái người mà trên máy bay cái người mà tiếp viên với máy bay á. A person whose job to organize a particular event or to provide services to particular people, to take care of a particular place. Cái người mà chăm sóc, cái người mà quản lý chăm sóc cái nơi nào đó. A steward. Just like a caretaker, you know, a caretaker. They will be responsible. They will be responsible.
They will be
Responsible stewards.
responsible. They will be responsible stewards in their enterprise in space.
But correct worries that problems could increase.
Correct worries that problems could increase. But correct worries that problems could increase. Despite their bad intentions, what happens to those
that fail
that
to go
fail
bankrupt.
or go bankrupt?
Bankrupt.
Bankrupt. That fail or go bankrupt. He asked.
They are probably not going to spend money.
They are probably not going to spend.
They are probably not going to spend money.
They are probably not going.
Probably.
They are probably not going to spend money to remove their satellites from space. Where we can go.
Okay, let's go again. C. Even as our ability to monitor space objects increases.
Even as
Let's do it once again.
Even as our ability to monitor space objects increases. So to the total number of items in orbit. That means companies, governments, and other players in space are collaborating in
Từ gốc của nó là labor.
in new ways.
Labor cho nên collaborating. Từ gốc của nó là labor mà. Nhưng không collaborating. In new ways to avoid share threat.
Are collaborating in new ways to
avoid a share threat.
To avoid a shared threat.
A shared threat.
To avoid a shared threat.
Okay, let's try that sentence again. Thử lại câu vừa rồi nha. That means companies.
That means companies, governments, and other players in space are collaborating in space are collaborating in new ways to avoid a shared threat. International groups such as the Interagency Space Debris.
The Interagency Space Debris Coordination.
The Interagency Space Debris Coordination Committee. The Interagency Space Debris Coordination Committee had developed
guidelines.
Had developed guidelines on space sustainability. on space
Sustainability.
sustainability,
On
though
space
include
sustainability.
on space
Sustainability.
sustainability, on space sustainability, on space sustainability, on space sustainability, on space
Sustainability. Nói âm luôn, nói âm luôn. On space
sustainability,
sustainability. Sustainability.
sustainability,
Sustainability.
on space sustainability, on space sustainability, those include an activating satellites at the at the end at the end of their useful life by venting prescribe
By venting.
by venting
Pressurized. Cái từ gốc nó là pressure. Áp lực.
pressure pressure
By
yeah
venting
by preventing
pressurized.
pressure that's right by venting pressurized materials by venting pressurized materials or leftover fuel that might lead to explosions. The intergovernmental groups also advise lower satellites deep enough into the atmosphere that they will burn up or disintegrate within 25 years. But so far, only about half of our missions have a bit by the 25-year goal.
Orbit chứ không phải orbit nha. Orbit nhưng không được.
Orbit.
Orbit.
Our missions have orbit.
Our mission chứ.
Our mission.
Oh, sorry. Only about half of all missions have
Yes.
abided. Động từ to
Yes.
abide, abide nhưng hai. Only about half of all missions have abided by this 25-year goal.
Yes. Only about half of our missions have abided by this 25-year goal, says Holger Krag, head of the European Space Agency's
Space Debris Office.
Space Debris Office
in Darmstadt, Germany.
In Darmstadt, Germany. In Darmstadt, Germany, operators of the plane large constellations of satellites say they will be responsible steward.
What? They will be responsible steward.
Steward.
Steward. They'll be responsible steward in their.
They will be responsible as they will be
responsible stewards.
They will be responsible steward.
In their enterprises in space.
Their enterprise in space, but Krag worries that problems could increase
Despite their best intention.
Despite their bad intentions, what happens to those that happens to those that fail or go bankrupt? He asked. They are probably not going to spend money to remove their satellites from space.
Okay. Okay, let's do the next one. In theory, in theory,
In
given the
theory,
vastness of space, vastness, cái sự to lớn khủng khiếp của không gian. Cho trước sự to lớn khủng khiếp của không gian. Given the vastness of space.
in theory, given a vastness, given the vastness of space, satellite operators should have plenty of room for all these missions. So again, in theory, given the vastness of space, satellite operators should have plenty of room for all these missions to fly safely without to fly safely without even nearly
Safely chứ nhỉ? To fly safely. To fly safely. Âm A âm A một F nữa. Safely. To fly safely.
To fly safely
Without ever nearing another object.
Without even
Ever.
nearly another object. So
Without ever nearing another object.
without ever nearly another object.
Nearing another object.
Nearing. Without ever nearly
Ever.
ever.
Without ever nearing another object.
So to fly safely without
safely. To fly safely.
Without ever nearing another object. Not
So
nearly.
some scientists are tackling the problem.
Again, she said. Right.
Okay.
Satellite operators should have plenty
Of
room
rooms
for all these
missions
to fly safely
without ever nearing.
without ever nearing another object. So some scientists
are tackling the problem of space junk.
So some scientists are tackling the problem of space junk by trying to find out where all the debris into a high degree of precision. So some
High degree of precision nha, âm DZ á. Precision. Cái tính từ nó là precise. Tính từ precise, danh từ precision. Dần âm DZ á. Precision.
Some scientists are
tackling the problem.
So some scientists are tackling the problem of space junk by trying to find out where are the debris into a high degree of
Precision.
precision. Precision of to a high degree
Degree
of
of precision.
degree to a high
Precision.
degree of precision.
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 Dân, 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 dân,
Precision.
dân.
Dân.
Dân, 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 dân.
Dân. Dân.
A high
Dân.
degree of precision.
Dân. Dân. Precision.
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 Dân làm DZ. Dân, 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 dân,
Dân.
dân,
Dân.
dân.
Dân. Dân. Dân. Precision. Precision. Precision.
Precision làm DZ.
Precision.
Precision. Precision. Precision.
Dân. Dân.
Dân, dân,
Dân.
dân, 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 dân.
Precision. Run. Run. Run.
No, không phải là run, nó là dân làm DZ chứ không phải
Dân.
MR đâu.
Dân. Dân.
Precision.
Precision.
Dân.
Precision. Dân.
Precision.
Pre. Để giác đọc giống kiểu gì ta? Precision.
Dân làm DZ.
Precision. Trần.
Đâu, không phải là trần đâu.
All the debris
Precision.
into
Chứ không phải là chành hay rành đâu.
precision.
No, chành là âm chờ rồi. Precision.
Run.
Dân, DZ, dân.
Ờ, làm sao phân biệt ta?
Chành làm chờ, dân làm DZ, run làm R.
Ờ,
Cái chành này nó không có cái tiếng Việt, cho nên chắc chắn nó sẽ không rất là khó phân biệt được. Precision với lại precision. Sun là SH này, còn dân làm DZ. Dân khác nhau.
cái từ nào giống
Precision.
nó vô nhỉ?
Sorry.
Có từ nào giống nó để rất
Tiếng
từ
Việt không
khác?
hề có một cái từ nào nó có chữ sần hay là dần đó, đó. Tiếng Việt không hề có âm SH nha, âm sờ nha, cũng không hề có âm giờ nha, không hề luôn á. Precision.
Precision.
Okay, fine.
Precision.
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 The precision.
Precision. High degree of precision. Precision.
That would alleviate những âm hai. That would alleviate.
That would
Hai.
alleviate. That would
Alleviate.
that would alleviate.
Alleviate.
That would alleviate. That would alleviate. That would alleviate the need for many of the unnecessary that would alleviate
the need for many of the unnecessary.
Many of the unnecessary.
The unnecessary.
The unnecessary.
Tại cái từ tính từ của nó là necessary nhé, âm một nha. Necessary. Thì là unnecessary.
Many of the unnecessary
maneuvers.
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 Maneuvers. Cái từ này nó khó thì luôn á. Maneuvers.
Maneuver.
Maneuver, cho nên người ta đang bỏ bớt cái chữ o luôn nè. Maneuver. Maneuver.
Oh, maneuver. Maneuver.
Đi vòng vòng xung quanh để mà cho đỡ bị trúng phải cái gì đó. Di chuyển mà cần kỹ năng và phải cẩn thận, đó là maneuver. Maneuver.
Maneuver.
To many of the
Maneuver.
unnecessary maneuvers that are carried out.
For
Maneuver.
many of the unnecessary maneuver.
Unnecessary. Âm đầu. Âm hai
Un,
chứ, sorry. Unnecessary.
unnecessary. Unnecessary.
Unnecessary maneuvers
Unnecessary. Unnecessary. Unnecessary maneuver.
that are carried
Maneuver.
out.
Unnecessary maneuver
That are
that
carried
are
out
carried out
to
to
avoid
avoid
potential collisions.
collisions.
If you
To
knew
avoid
precisely,
potential collision. If they know,
if you knew precisely,
if they knew precisely, if they knew precisely where
if
everything
if you
was,
knew chứ, if you knew precisely
if you
where
knew,
everything was,
if you knew precisely where everything was, you should almost you should almost never have a problem, says Marlon. Sorry. Marlon Soros. Says Marlon Soros. A space debris was a space debris, a specialist.
a space debris specialist.
Specialist, yes. A
Specialist.
space debris specialist
So
at
maybe
the
you are a
aeros
specialist. So Mr. Hưng is a specialist in IT, let's say.
specialist.
Specialist.
A
Specialist.
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 Specialist, specialist, special, special,
Specialist.
specialist,
Specialist.
special, specialist,
Specialist.
space debris specialist at
At
the
the
aerospace,
Aerospace
at the
Corporation.
aerospace corporation,
Corporation
corporation,
in El Segundo, California.
aerospace no,
Corporation.
corporation.
Aerospace Corporation
Corporation.
in El
Aerospace
Segundo.
Corporation in El
Segundo,
Segundo. El Segundo. El Segundo.
California. Mhm. Thank you.
In El Segundo, California. So, again. A space debris specialist at the aerospace corporation, aerospace corporation in El Segundo, California.
Okay, let's try again. In theory, given the vastness of space.
In theory, given the vastness of space, satellite operators should have plenty of room for all these missions to fly safely without ever nearing another object. So some scientists are tackling the problem of space junk by trying to find out where are the debris.
Find out where all the debris is. All the debris is to a high degree of precision.
The debris into a high degree of precision.
Precision. Precision.
Precision. Precision. Dần.
Dần âm DZ.
Dần. Dần. Dần.
Precision. Yeah.
Dần. 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 To a high degree of precision.
Precision.
Yeah. Of precision. 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 Of precision that would alleviate
Alleviate.
alleviate
That would gì?
would alleviate o hay a nhỉ?
Alleviate. Alleviate. Nó là âm xoa đó.
Yeah.
Đúng rồi, tại vì cái âm nhấn là cái âm ly. Mấy cái âm mà
Alleviate.
yếu hơn á, nó thường sẽ nằm đằng trước hoặc đằng sau cái âm nhấn đó. Alleviate, chứ không phải là alleviate đâu.
Alleviate.
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 Alleviate. Alleviate.
Alleviate. Alleviate. Alleviate.
Alleviate.
That would alleviate the need for
That would alleviate the need for many of
the unnecessary maneuvers.
For many of the unnecessary
Maneuvers that are carried out.
Maneuvers that are carried out to avoid potential collisions. If they knew precisely, if you knew precisely, if they knew precisely where everything was, you should almost never have a problem. If you knew precisely, if you knew precisely,
đó, cái adverb của chữ precision bên trên á. Precisely, danh từ precision.
If you knew precisely where everything was, you would almost
never have
a problem, says Marlon Sauces, a space debris specialist at the Aerospace Corporation in El Segundo, California.
Okay, that's okay. Now E, the field is called space traffic management. Because it is similar to managing traffic on the roads or in the air.
Management. The field is called space traffic management because it's similar to managing traffic on the roads or in the air. The field is called space traffic management because it's similar to managing traffic on the roads or in the air. Think about a busy day at an airport. Say says Moribazaz, an astrodynamic.
Nó có cái z gì đó kỳ kỳ này. Bắt đầu thấy kỳ rồi.
Says
Moribazaz. An astrodynamicist.
Says Moribazaz. An
Dynamics, tại vì từ gốc là astro với lại dynamics.
dynamics.
Dynamic.
An astrodynamic
Cái từ đó là dynamic nhấn âm 2. Cho nên là astrodynamics.
An astrodynamics.
No, dynamic.
Dynamic.
An astrodynamics.
An astrodynamics.
STR, astro.
An astrodynamics. T ở cuối đúng không?
Dynamicsist.
An astrodynamics. An astrodynamicist. An astrodynamicist at the University of Texas and Austin. At the University of Texas and Austin, planes line up in the sky. Planes line up in the sky, landing and taking off close to one another in a carefully.
What?
Carefully from a graph.
In a carefully choreographed routine.
Choreograph. Choreographed routine. Okay.
Choreographed routine.
Choreographed
Routine. As a routine. Nhấn âm 2 á.
Routine.
Âm 2 1 là được, routine hay là routine là được. A carefully choreographed routine. Air traffic controllers.
Again.
Let's do it again. The field is called.
The field equals space traffic management because it's similar to managing traffic on the roads or in the air. Think about a busy day think about a busy day at an airport, say Moribachak, an astrodynamicist at the University of Texas at Austin. Planes line up in the sky, landing and taking off close to one another in a carefully choreographed routine. In a carefully choreographed routine. Air traffic controllers know the location of the plane down to 1 meter in accuracy. Air traffic controllers.
Location of the planes down to 1 meter in accuracy. Âm đầu accuracy. Danh từ accuracy tính từ accurate. Nhưng
accuracy.
đầu accuracy, accuracy, accuracy.
Air traffic controllers know the location of the planes
Down to 1 meter in accuracy.
of the planes down to 1 meter in accuracies. The same can be said for space debris. Not all objects in orbit and no, not all objects in orbit and no, and even those included in
Included, and even
database,
those included in databases.
and even those included in
databases.
databases,
Database hoặc databases cũng được.
in databases,
Are not
and
tracked
not
consistently. ST. Are not tracked consistently.
Tracked, and not tracked
Âm T nha. Tracked. Are not tracked consistently.
and not
Tracked consistently.
consistently.
Okay, let's take a break now. Okay, where are we now? Okay, let's do F now. Let's try F. An additional problem is that there's no authoritative. Nhưng âm hai, authoritative. There's no authoritative catalog. Catalog. Authoritative.
Authoritative
catalog.
Authoritative
Catalog.
Catalog
That accurately lists the orbits.
accurately. An additional problem is that there is no
authoritative catalog
that
accurately lists
accurately lists the orbits of all known space debris.
All known space debris.
Of all known space debris. Jack illustrates
this with a web-based database.
Jack illustrates this with a web-based database that he had developed. It draws on several sources, such as catalogs maintained by the US and Russian governments to visualize where objects are in space. When he types in an identifier for a particular space object, the database draws a purple line, a designable design
Yes.
to design its orbit. Jack illustrates this with a web-based database that he had developed. It draws on several sources, such as catalogs maintained by the US and Russian government to visualize where objects are,
Visualize. Âm DZ.
to
Visualize
visual,
where
to
objects are in space.
visualize, to visualize where objects,
Visualize. Âm Z cuối.
to
Visualize where objects
visualize,
are in space.
to visualize, to visualize, to visualize where
Where
objects
objects are in space.
are in space. When he types
In
in
an
an
identifier.
identifier for a particular space
Particular.
object,
Âm 2. Particular space object.
in
For a
an
particular space
identifier
object.
for a particular
Space
space
object.
object.
The database draws
The
a purple line.
database draws a purple line to
Line
design,
N nhẹ. A purple line to designate. Designate nha. Cái từ này designate và designate đâu nha. Designate its orbit.
designate a
To
purple line
designate.
to designate,
Để
to
mà xác định ra,
designate
để mà
its
viết ra
orbit,
cái quỹ đạo của nó. Thiết kế là quỹ đạo của nó. To designate its orbit.
to designate, to designate,
Để viết ra được quỹ đạo của nó. Yes, to
to
designate its
designate
orbit.
its orbit. Only this doesn't quite
Work for a number of objects.
only this
This.
doesn't
Only this.
Only this doesn't quite work for a number of objects, such as a Russian rocket body
Body designated.
designated.
Nó có là designated đâu. Tại vì designated nghe kỳ lắm. Nó là designated.
Rocket body.
Designated.
A
Được
Russian
thiết kế để
rocket
dành
body
cho.
Designated
in a
in
database.
the database an object
As object number 32280.
in the database as
Object number
32280.
Zero.
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 Z-E-R-O. Zero.
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 No. Âm Z á. Zero.
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 Zero. Zero. Zero. Zero.
Zero.
80.
Zero. 80.
When ya enters that number.
When Jack enters that number, the
database draws two purple
lines. The US and Russian source contain two completely different orbits for the same object. Jack says that it is almost impossible to tell which is correct unless a third source of information
made it possible.
Unless a third source
unless a third source of information
unless a third source of information
made it possible to cross correlate.
Made it possible to cross correlate. Make it possible to cross correlate.
Cross correlate.
To make it possible to cross correlate. Jack describes himself as a space environmentalist. I want to make space a
A
place
place that is safe to operate.
that is safe to operate, that is free and useful for generations to come. Until that happens, he argues.
Không phải argue. Từ này là những âm đầu.
Argue.
Argues.
He
He
argues.
argues.
He
He argues.
argues.
He argues.
He argues. He argues. The space community will continue develop.
Continue.
Will continue. The space community will continue devolving
Continue devolving into a tragedy.
Will continue devolving into a
Into a tragedy.
Into
a tragedy in which tragedy thảm họa. Into a tragedy.
Into a
Tragedy.
Into a tragedy.
In
Into
which
a
all
tragedy.
space flight, all
Into
space
a
flight
tragedy.
operators.
Into a tragedy. Into a tragedy. In which.
Tragedy.
Into a tragedy. Into a tragedy.
In which all space flight operators.
All space flight
Operators.
With all space
Flight operators are polluting a common resource.
Polluting a common resource.
Common resource.
Resource. A common resource.
Okay, let's try again. Polluting a common resource.
Polluting a common resource. Okay, Zach describes himself as a space environment. Himself. Zach
Describes himself.
Yeah, okay. Zach describes himself. Zach describes himself as a space environmentalist. I want to make space a place that is safe to operate, that is free and useful for generations to come. Until that happens, he argues. The space He argues the space community will continue devolving into a tragedy. Into a tragedy. Into a tragedy in which all space flight operators are polluting a common resource.
Okay, let's try F again. An additional problem is that there is no authoritative catalog that accurately something.
An additional problem is that there is no authoritative there is an authoritative catalog that accurately
âm đầu.
accurately leads. That accurately lead. That accurately leads the orbits of unknown space debris.
Auto
Debris.
space debris.
Debris of unknown space debris that illustrate the wait that illustrate this with a web database that he had developed. It draws on several sources, such as catalogs maintained by the US and Russian governments, to
visualize where objects are in space.
to visualize where objects are in space. When he types in an identifier for a particular space object, particular for a particular space object, the database draws a purple line to designate its orbit. Only this doesn't quite work for a number of objects, such as a Russian rocket body
designated.
A Russian rocket body
Designated database.
Designated. A Russian rocket body designated
in the database.
Designated. A Russian rocket body designated in the database as object number 32280. When Jack enters that number, the number draws two purple
When
lines.
Jack enters that number, the database draws two purple lines.
When Jack enters that number, the database draws two purple lines. The US and Russian sources contain two completely different orbits for the same object. Jack says that it is almost impossible to tell which is correct unless a third source of information make it possible to cross correlate.
Giống như là so sánh chéo.
Cross correlate.
So sánh chéo với nhau nha. Cross correlate. Cái từ này chắc chắn gặp nhiều trong nghiên cứu học nè. Cross correlate, so sánh chéo.
Yeah, cross correlate. Yeah.
Jack describes himself.
Jack
cái chữ H này nó giống như là kéo dài cái âm trước đó thôi. Jack describes himself as a
describes himself as a space environmentalist. I want to make space a place that I want to make space a place. Tại sao ở đây lại là space và a place đi chung với nhau nhỉ?
Sorry. Tôi
Cái
muốn
space.
làm cho không gian một nơi mà an toàn để vận hành. Nói vậy đó. I want to make space a place that is safe to operate.
Tại vì sao nó là giữa hai cái noun này là có cái
Đâu có sao đâu anh. Tôi muốn
À
biến
ha.
nhà tôi một nơi rất là thoải mái. Nó giống vậy. I want to make my home a place that is comfortable chẳng
Như
hạn.
vậy chỗ đó phải có comment chứ. Comment chứ. Có dấu phẩy gì nhỉ?
No.
Em
Anh hiểu sai nghĩa đó rồi. Tôi muốn biến căn nhà tôi thành một nơi an toàn chẳng hạn. I want to make my home a place that is safe.
ok.
Cái này y chang vậy nè. Tôi muốn biến không gian là một nơi mà an toàn để vận hành. Tôi muốn
Yeah.
biến không gian thành một nơi an toàn để vận hành, ý là vậy á. I want to make space a place that is safe to operate. Nó không sai đâu nha.
I
Right.
want to make space a place that is safe to operate, that is free and useful for generations to come.
Free and useful. Useful.
That is free. That is free and useful
For
for
generations to come.
to come. Until that happens, he argues.
Không phải argue.
Cái này là gì ta? Argue.
Argue.
Argue. He argue. Argue. He argue. Yes. Until that happens, he argues. That happens. He argues. That happens. He argues. The same ha. Happen. Happen. Argues. So until that happens,
He
he
argues.
argues.
Cho đến khi điều đó diễn ra, anh ta tranh luận. Cộng đồng không gian sẽ tiếp tục gì đó. Yeah. Until that happens, he argues. The space community will.
Don't Yến nói là cái chỗ nhấn hai cái này giống nhau này. That happens, he argues. Yeah.
Không, nó là một cái, nó chỉ là một cái ngẫu nhiên thôi. Nó mới giống nhau về cái nhấn âm một đó thôi. Thường là động từ hai âm nó sẽ nhấn âm 2 nha. Nhưng mà 20%, 80% là động từ nhấn âm 2 nếu mà nó hai âm. Nhưng mà 20% còn lại nó sẽ nhấn âm 1. Ví dụ chỉ happen và chỉ argue.
Cái này như vậy nó là chỉ là ngẫu nhiên mà nó trùng giống nhau thôi chứ không phải rule hả?
Nó ngẫu nhiên, nó giống nhau thôi anh, không phải rules đâu.
Ok để
Trừ
biết.
cái trường hợp cái này nó là một cái gì đó mà văn thơ nó phải ăn vần với nhau á thì nó mới có
Thì nó sẽ
rules.
chọn từ.
Và cái này không phải là văn thơ. This is not poetry, so there's no rules for
Until that
rhyme.
happens, he argues the
The
space
space
community will continue devolving into
a
a
tragedy.
Into a tragedy in which all space flight operators
Are polluting a common resource.
polluting a common resource.
Okay, very good. Now, 7 giờ rồi. Okay, let's okay, this is for today. Next time, I suggest that we do test 2, shall we?
Okay, we can come back part 2.
Do you want to come back to part 2 now?
It's up to you.
Sure, we can do that. Because if you repeat it, actually, you make less mistakes. The more you repeat, the more you remember how to pronounce correctly, I think.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's good. Very good.
So next time we can go back to this one. Yes, exactly. Okay.
For any comment work, I can, and after that we can try to pronounce and try to speak a phrase
Yes, exactly.
and sentence.
All
Yeah,
right.
something
And
like that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, John. Yeah.
thank
And
you. And
it
see
will
you.
have a lot improvement after 1 month.
Of course, you feel it, do you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, if you study, if you learn it in the right way, you will feel that you improve a lot.
Yeah. I know how to, at least I know what is correct or not and how to improve. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
very
you.
good.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Bye. See you.
Bye.